Today I have a repair that was sent in by somebody who watches the TikTok and YouTube videos, or maybe just one of them. And hopefully it will be a nice 2-in-1 repair. I have two Nintendo Switches that are faulty. One of them is 11684. And if we go over to the scope, the customer said it was struggling to read SD cards. They tried a different SD card reader. And as you can see, we seem to be missing a pin on the actual SD card reader itself. So this will need replacing. The way we do that is by heating up through the back of the board just here. There is no plastic around this area, you see, so we are able to heat directly through the back of the board. That's one of the repairs. And the other one is 11685, and this one doesn't display on a docking station. Now if we go back over to the scope, you should be able to see on the charging port that at the top we've got some crossed over pins. I'm not too sure if the unit is charging or not. I would highly doubt that it is charging. And I'm not going to put in the ammeter or give this any power to test because I don't want to fry anything else. So we're going to change the port over on this one as well. So let's get started with these repairs. So a massive thank you to the person, you know who you are, who sent over these boards. If you're in need of a repair yourself, either use the link down in the description or just send us a message on Instagram. I'm going to take the port off first and do that one. So we're just going to apply some flux. We're going to heat from the bottom of the board and get the port off. Whilst the board is relatively hot, I am going to use my solder sucker, my favourite tool. There we are, nice and clean. Grab our cotton buds, just get rid of the flux that was on the board. Nice. Good stuff. I'm just going to put some flux here just to get this solder off the board because we're going to put leaded solder on the board. There we go. Another quick clean. More flux now. Just apply it to everywhere. So I'm putting some leaded solder on to fix the port. One last clean before adding some fresh flux and putting the port on. Sometimes flux can burn. I don't think it was burnt then, if I'm being 100% honest. I think it would have been fine just to put the port on, but I don't think there's any harm in just putting some fresh flux on. There we go, that should be enough. Now we're just going to drop the air so that the port doesn't actually fly off when we're trying to put it on. I mean, there's solid and then there's this going over to this, which is going to make it very solid. See, a few of these pins are still a little bit loose, so I am just going to give this a quick reflow. See if I can get it set down properly. Just put a drop of flux here. I think it sat down a bit better there. We've still got a lot of loose pins. Sometimes it can be the port itself. So what I'm actually going to do with this one is start again. I'm going to get a new port. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes the pins can be facing upwards, have a little bit, which really does stop you from being able to make them all flat. And because we don't know if we're getting a solid connection underneath either, it's just not worth the risk. We just get a new port, we put that on, we see if that does any better. Still have the solder, just going to add a tiny bit more flux. A lot of these pins are still exactly the same, very loose. Still the same. I might have to solder these ones manually and just hope that the ones underneath are actually soldered to the board. So I'm going to do that now. I don't know if I recorded. I'll have to look back, but I was just touching up these with the soldering iron. As you can see, they're a lot stronger now than what they were. Just testing each one. That one is still loose. Okay, so it's just one of them. Third one in at the top. Tiny bit of flux. A little bit of solder on the iron. It's that one there. Right, should be fine. Is that one at least now solid? Yeah, that's solid. I'm just going to check the others. All good, all good, all good. Okay, now I just need to make sure that it charges both ways, because on the Nintendo Switch USB-C charging ports, the other line of pins is here. So exactly what you see here is right here. And if these aren't soldered correctly, it's not going to charge correctly on the other side. And before we give this power, it is imperative to check M92T36 and other components to see if we do have a short. So let's check that now. M92T36 is all good. Let's just check around BQ as well. BQ is also all good. And finally, just confirming P13. All good as well. The customer said this wasn't docking. I wonder if there was an issue before. So what I am going to do is just quickly check the filters, which are just here. So what we're looking for, what I was going to say is what we're looking for is continuity here, which is what we get, but you're not meant to get continuity diagonally. No, you don't get it there diagonally. So that's okay. But if I go here and here, so you see how we've got continuity here? That shouldn't be happening. So I do need to replace this little filter here. Check these ones. All the rest are fine. It just seems to be this one here, so that needs to be changed. Let's just quickly test that it charges both sides and that we get 15 volts on both sides, because that would be good. At least then we can confirm. Yep, we get something that side, which is nice. 5 volts on this side. Okay. Let me try the other side. Do we get the same? 16 volts. Okay, so 15 volts this side, but we have 5 volts on the other side. That could be the port, or it could be M92T36, even though we didn't have any shorts on M92T36. I think our best bet is to change out M92T36. I'll do that now, and then we can confirm whether that was the issue or not. There we go, M92 has been changed. Check our work to make sure we've done a good job. Okay, that side. Okay, that side. It's okay, that side. Oh, we have a small bridge this side. We always have to check your work. Check it now. All good, no bridge. Nice. Let's see what happens now. Okay, here we go. Plug it in and meet this way. What do we get? Turn it over. I mean, it's easiest. There we go, 16 volts. That's good that side. Nice. And then we should get exactly the same on the back, because this is where we were getting 5 volts before. Do we get 16? Yes, we do. There we go. Okay, so it was M92T36. Just before putting this back together for a full test, I have noticed this little cap here is just a little bit out of place, so I'm going to put that back. Not going to matter in the slightest, as long as it's connected, which I think it is. Again, just for looks. And to complete the job, I'd rather get it done. And all we should have to do is apply a little bit of heat with the flux, and it should go straight back onto place in line with the other two next to it. There we go. Let's give it a little nudge and another clean whilst I'm here. Job done. Let's move on to the second switch, and then we're going to test this in the docking station. Almost forgot to change out this little guy. And just to take our multimeter and test to make sure that this one is okay. Continuity there. Not continuity there. Continuity there. Not continuity there. Perfect. Here we have Nintendo Switch number 2 with the faulty SD card reader, and we are now going to just place some flux just here. Just a tiny bit. And again, we're going to heat the board from the bottom. Need to give the board a little bit of heat overall first. Remove the connector and then put another connector on from another board. Wait for the solder to melt. And then just like that, we pull the connector off whilst it is nice and hot. Going to apply some leaded solder onto the pads. There we go. Just bring down that melting temperature. Here we have our replacement SD connector. It's already got a bit of flux on the board, so it should flow nicely into place if we come back from underneath. Just like that. Give it a good clean. It's actually over by 1 pin. I'm just going to put flux again around it, not inside the connector. I think that's a bit better. Again, just get all the flux out. Make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, I've gone extremely close here on the scope just to see if I can make sure that all of these are solid, which they seem to be. I'll check the other side. Every single one of these is solid as well. Nice. So that should also be working. Again, we shall test. Okay, so my colleague has just tested the SD card Nintendo Switch that we had in from the one customer, and it seems to be absolutely fine. The micro SD card that we have for testing is populating here on this screen, which shows that the connector we've done was a good job. The one where we changed the port M92 and the filter, however, is populating an error message when we go to turn the device on. The error code we get is 21340501. I've had one very similar before, and sometimes it can be the M92T36 power IC, which is what I've already changed, but it is very possible that we picked a faulty one. What I'm going to do now is change the port again just to make sure, and also M92T36 to see if that resolves the error message that we're getting. What I've done this time was loaded up the Nintendo Switch port with solder. You don't usually have to do this every single time, but sometimes they can play a little bit funny. So let's just check now and see if every single pin is solid. Yeah, which they are. Every single pin solid. So we know now that the charging port should be fine. Now we're going to replace M92T36 again. All right, how are we looking? Fine that side. Fine that side. It looks like there's meant to be a component here, but there's not. It's just where my iron accidentally touched these two pads, because usually they're meant to be like a copper color. This side, all good. And finally this side, all good. Okay. I think it'd be silly not to check for shorts quickly. What is this up here? Bit of gunk. Meter in continuity mode again. All good. Okay, here we go. So let's put it in this way. What do we get? Do we get 15 volts? Yeah, 15 volts. Nice, healthy amp draw as well. That's good. And turn it around. We get the same on this side. Yeah, there we go. 15 volts. 16, technically. And a good, healthy amp draw. Okay, so again, let's reassemble and test. Okay, let's go. Jon Snow. Here we have the Nintendo Switch. Put it into the docking station. We have a green light, which is awesome. Waiting for it on the screen in 3, 2. Didn't even let me get to 0. And there we have a fully working Nintendo Switch. I've tested every other aspect as well, the charging and stuff, and it's all good to go. Big thank you to the customer for using our mail-in service. If you're in need of a repair, you can do the exact same. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.